everyone. We begin with yet another topic from absorption by roots. And the topic is osmosis. Osmosis is the movement of water molecules from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration, separated when the two solutions are separated by a semi permeable membrane. Here, you can think it in little simpler way that the movement of always the solvent particles takes place from a region of higher solvent concentration to a region of lower solvent concentration, so that equilibrium is maintained in between both the separating membranes, which are separated by the semi permeable membrane. Or even much more simpler way, you can think that the movement will always be from a diluted solution to a concentrated solution, because a diluted solution will have much more water molecules as compared to a concentrated solution, and pure water is always dilute as compared to any other water which is mixed with some solute within it. If you look at this diagram, you can see that in between there is a separation by a semi permeable membrane. Some of the examples of semi permeable membrane are cellophane sheet, plasma membrane, egg membrane, plasma membrane of any individual, goat's bladder. These all things can be used as plasma membrane, or these all can be used as a semi permeable membrane in order to separate two solutions. So, if you see the yellow colored globules, they all are sugar molecules. Wherever they are present, it means it is a solute particle which is added in the solvent in order to increase its concentration. So, concentration of sugar is more in 1, whereas concentration of sugar is less in 2. But we have to always focus on concentration of water molecules. If we compare 1 and 2, the concentration of water molecules is more in 2 as compared to 1. So the water molecules will be moving from higher concentration of water molecule to lower concentration of water molecule, or higher concentration of solvent to lower concentration of solvent. So as because the concentration of solvent is more in 2, so water molecules are diffusing from 2 to 1. This is the meaning of osmosis, and osmosis is always taking place from with the help of a semi permeable membrane. In the absence of semi permeable membrane, this movement is not taking place, or it is normal diffusion which occurs when there is no semi permeable membrane separating two liquids. One more thing is that this movement of water molecules is only facilitated in case of water molecules. We cannot think that gases are moving because of semi permeable membrane. Semi permeable membrane allows the movement of only the solvent particles. Next term is endoosmosis. As the name suggests, endo means inside. So the water molecules from outside will move inside, and as a result, inside of a cell, and as a result, the cell will become turgid or will swell up. So when a cell is placed in a pure distilled water, as I have already said, it is the most diluted form of solvent, and whenever it is kept, or whenever a cell is kept inside it, then the cell will swell up. That is what happens. The cell outer membrane of the cell, or the plasma membrane, is capable of allowing only certain selective particles to move in, because semi permeable membrane, the definition is as such that these is a kind of membrane which allows the movement of only some particles or certain ions from outside to inside. Differentially permeable, it means it is semi permeable, and because of this, the cell is swelling up. The cell which is kept in a dilute water, so high concentration of water, you all can see over here, as because the water content outside the cell is much higher. Think about a beaker, and this beaker has presence of water within it, and since water is present inside the beaker, The movement of water molecules is taking place from outside to inside the cell and making it get swollen up. Next term is exoosmosis, which is reverse of endoosmosis. Endo means from outside the water was moving it. In exoosmosis, the water molecules will move from inside of the plant cell to outside. Again, you have to imagine a situation where a beaker is kept and the beaker has presence of water molecules within it along with solute, but the quantity of solute is way much higher, and as because the solutes are or solute particles are higher, so in order to make a equilibrium, the water from inside the cell, plant cell, diffuses out of the cell, and as a result it becomes flaccid or it shrinks. So the cell which is kept in a concentrated solution, it shrinks due to exoosmosis. This is a setup for most of the experiments when we want to demonstrate for osmosis. So it is a thistle funnel. This setup is a thistle funnel and it is attached with a stand, and a beaker is filled with water is kept inside this yellow fluid, or the fluid which is yellow colored is the sugar solution, and it is separated by a cellophane paper. Cellophane paper acts as a semi permeable membrane, allowing only the movement of water molecules. So the water molecules from the outside tend to move in because the sugar concentration in the yellow fluid is much higher as compared to the outside pure water, and because of that we see a rise in the level of thistle funnel, showing us or giving us an idea that water moves from higher concentration of water to lower concentration of water. In this beaker or in the thistle funnel, there is less concentration of water as compared to the outside beaker, and that's why the movement is taking place from outside the beaker or in the beaker to inside the thistle funnel, or outside the thistle funnel to inside the thistle funnel through the semi permeable membrane. Next term is reverse osmosis. It is just opposite of osmosis. In osmosis, the movement of water molecules used to take place from higher concentration of water molecule to lower concentration of water molecule, and uh, it was all dependent on the concentration of the solution. Here the semi permeable is membrane is separating two fluids, and in normal condition, think about a normal condition, water always moves from pure to the impure side, or where the water concentration or the amount of solvent is much higher to the area where there is amount of solute particles. So the movement should be in this direction. But here the direction of flow of water is completely different. The reason for that is that applied hydrostatic pressure is there, because of which the salt particles or the salted water is kept in one area, whereas only the pure water is allowed to diffuse through the semi-permeable membrane and get accumulated in the tank, in which some amount of minerals will be added and later on it will be used for drinking. The same technique is used by most of the filters, and the technique is known as RO. So most of the water filters advertisement, when you see, you hear the term RO, and it comes from reverse osmosis. Reverse osmosis is same as osmosis but reverse of it. The movement of water molecules from higher concentration to lower concentration, in spite of that from lower concentration of water to higher concentration of water, by applying hydrostatic pressure, which helps in movement of water molecules. Osmotic pressure, it is the maximum amount of pressure that can be developed in a osmotically active medium which is separated by a semi-permeable membrane to stop endoosmosis. Endoosmosis means movement of water inside the cell, and this is done in order to stop the cell from bursting, and that's why it's very important. This is the amount of energy or amount of pressure which is required to just stop the process of osmosis in simple terms, and it is measured by Pascal. Osmotic potential means the it is the measure of tendency of water molecules to diffuse out into the environment from when it is separated by a semi-permeable membrane. Now think it in this way, that a concentrated solution has few water molecules within itself and hence a low osmotic potential. So the water molecules in a concentrated solution will have less amount of water as compared to a solution which is diluted. In a diluted solution there will be high osmotic potential because more water molecules are there. So how will the movement be? The movement will be from dilute solution to concentrated solution, because water molecules in the dilute solution are much more as compared to the solution which is concentrated. And this is also known as the solute potential, and its value is always negative. It is expressed in bars with a negative sign. The importance of osmosis is as such that it helps in the absorption of water by the roots of the plant. It is helpful in movement of the plant because when water is allowed to move inside the plants, the leaf or any structure inside the plant, it becomes swollen up in the sense it is capable of showing all its cell organelles or opening up all its organelles to its full, and because of that the movement occurs in most of the plants. The cells become very rigid as because water has entered it inside it, and the entire cell membrane is filled with or is expressing or exposing all its surface area completely. When the leaves become turgid, they expand completely, showing that there is very high osmotic pressure within it. And also, when the leaves are completely turgid, they will expose the entire surface area to the solar radiation, and as a result high amount of photosynthesis will occur because all the chlorophyll molecules, they will be getting activated by the photons of the light. The growing tips of the roots, they become turgid because of water accumulation, and as because they are turgid, they are capable of penetrating inside the soil particles and growing. Even during the frost and drought, the outer covering of the cell of root hair is very turgid because of this osmotic pressure, and as because it is turgid, it does not allow frost and drought to affect it. And finally, opening and closing of stomata also takes place because of osmosis. If you can remember the structure of guard cells, during the potassium ion concentration theory, we did explain that the adjacent cells, they all transfer the water from them to the guard cells, and as a result the guard cells swell up. The guard cells are the structures which have, when they swell up, they create a pore within them, and because of that, or that pore is the stomata. So swelling up of guard cells is because of endoosmosis, and as a result the stomatal pore opens, allowing the movement of gases in and out. Before we study the next topic, we should understand the difference between absorption and adsorption. Adsorption is a technique by which the molecules adhere or just attach to the surface area of any substance. So here this white color substance, you can think it of as a wood, and over the wood surface, just think that the water molecules, they are as such dispersed over it or attached to it in layers. Whereas in absorption, the movement of water molecules within the cell take place. So when the absorption is taking place, the water molecules are moving inside the cell or inside the organism, whereas in adsorption it is just layering itself, the water molecules are layering itself over the surface area or the cell membrane of the object. So this is the difference. Next term is imbibition, and it means, or it is a phenomena which helps in adsorption of water molecules by hydrophilic colloids, cellulose, starch, proteins, or polypeptides. These all structures are present in the cell wall of the plants, And as a result, whenever we see that there is change in the shape of wood, it is because of adsorption. It is not absorption. And whenever adsorption is taking place, some amount of heat is released, and that heat is known as the heat of hydration. So I hope it is understood. If we think about one of the example, think about a wooden log in the rainy season, it or windows in the rainy season, you see that the windows, they become very tight and we cannot close the door properly during the rainy season. But as soon as the season is changed to summer, or the day is very bright, we see that again the same door is closing and opening very easily. It is because of the same adsorption. During the rainy season, adsorption has taken place, and as soon as the season changes, because of high temperature, the water molecules which were adhered on the surface of the wooden log is lost. These are the two ways by which adsorption occurs. One is with the help of, or just think about a outer surface of the wood and how the red balls are attached. These red balls are like water molecules. So water molecules are circular globular structures which are red colored, and they are just getting attached over the upper surface area. This is one of the technique of adsorption, and it is known as physisorption. Whereas in chemisorption, we see that there are certain receptors which are present. These structures which are present, these are known as receptors, and these receptors are as such that they bind the water molecules, and they will stay in this condition unless the receptors they lose the water molecules. So in these two ways adsorption occurs, and in imbibition, adsorption is the technique which is taking place. The importance of imbibition is it helps in the germination of the seeds, because the outer seed coat of any seed is made up of cellulose, and it can absorb water. It cannot absorb water, it absorbs water and swells up, and as a result it burst open to expose the inner cell membrane, and in the cell membrane water can very easily move in. It also helps in absorption of water by the root hair. Initially, wherever there is cellulose or pectin present, the movement of water molecules inside it or will be because of adherence of water molecules, that is adsorption. The move, it will not be complete absorption. First of all, adsorption will take place, and in the second stage there will be adsorption taking place, because cell wall is, inside the cell wall there is presence of semi permeable membrane, the cell membrane. So outside by the cell wall adsorption occurs, and by the cell membrane again it will be selectively permeable membrane, allowing the movement of water molecules within it. The water moves into the ovule, which are ripened into seeds by the process of imbibition. Please correct the term, this is seeds, by the process of imbibition. So that is one technique. And the second thing is, and next one is, you may have seen that in the pavement, in the road, there is growth of, again, one more term you should change, it is spores. It is the growth or germination of spores or seeds in the pavement, that the spores or the seeds they germinate in the roadside or in the rocks. It is because at first there is imbibition occurring within them, and then they just start germinating, and because of that only we see some cracks developing in the rocks or in the pavement. Next term is tonicity. It means the osmotic concentration. So tonicity is the measure of osmotic pressure gradient which is developed in two solutions which are separated by semi-permeable membrane. And tonicity is determined, or it determines the movement of solute from outside to inside or from inside to outside. We have three types of solutions for this. One is a hypertonic solution. In simple terms, hyper means more, so more concentrated solution. Concentrated, think about sugar in understanding, more concentrated solution because of high amount of concentration of sugar within it. Hypotonic means less concentration of sugar. Whereas in isotonic solution, equivalent amount of sugar is present in both the sides. Here it should be gains. or loses water by osmosis when separated by a semi-permeable membrane. So this gives you all an idea about three different solutions. Hypertonic, in which the solution has more amount of sugar content. Hypotonic, when the solution has m- less amount of sugar content. Isotonic, when the solution is equivalent, or is isotonic means the inside content of the solution of a particular cell and outside content of the solution is equivalent. If you think of this three cells being kept in three different solutions, first one is a hypertonic solution, where I will just be representing these blue dots in order to show you that how much sugar concentration is there. In hypertonic solution, there are a lot of solute particles, whereas in hypotonic solution you will see only few particles of solute, whereas in isotonic solution, sorry, in isotonic solution I have said, in isotonic is the middle one, where there are only three molecules outside the solute or three inside. Here suppose there is only this much amount of solute inside, whereas in hypotonic solution you will see that this is the condition. Now the idea is again the same. The movement of water molecules takes place. You will count the number of dots inside the cell, because that is the concentration of solute particles, and outside the cell as well. So if we see the first structure, hypertonic one, you will see that inside the cell there is 1 2 3 4 dots, whereas if we try to count outside, there are a lot of dots outside, maybe 7 8 or 10. So the water molecules will move from higher concentration of water molecules to lower concentration of water molecules, and the blue dots, they are representative of solute. Let me write. If I write solute, then you can very well connect to it. So the pink ones or pink dots are representative of solute, and whenever you can see more dots being present, that is representative of solute concentration, more solute to less solute. So every time the water moves from higher concentration of water to lower concentration of water, water is higher in the area where there is less number of solute. So it is from inside the cell to outside. That is what takes place in hypertonic solution. In isotonic solution, the amount of water molecules outside the cell is equivalent to the amount of solute inside the cell, and as a result, equivalent, the amount of water lost is equivalent to the amount of water gained, and as a result there is no as a change in the shape or structure of the cell, which is kept in such kind of solution. But in hypotonic solution, the amount of solute particles inside the cell are much higher as compared to outside, and as a result water from outside is drawn in order to equalize the amount of concentration inside the cell, and hence the last cell becomes turgid or it swells up, whereas the first cell, as because the water is lost from inside to outside, so the cell becomes shrinked or it just shrinks. Next is active transport. Active transport is reverse of all the processes which we have studied. In every process, the movement of water molecules was from higher concentration to lower concentration of solvent. But here it is reverse. We have to move the substance from higher concentration, from lower concentration, sorry, to higher concentration. Now think about one small idea. You have to lift this iron ball, it is made up of iron, from this surface to here. How can you do it? It requires a lot of energy, isn't it? You have to push it all the way from the sliding surface or from the ground till the top. And in order to do that, you will be applying a lot of energy. Physical energy will be applied in that. And active transport is also the same. In active transport, the movement is from lower concentration to higher concentration against the concentration gradient with the requirement of energy. So ATP is required in order to move any substance from lower concentration of it to higher concentration. The importance of active transport is it helps in the movement of, or it helps in absorption of nutrients, or the, yes, the nutrients are taken up with the help of active transport. Sometimes excretion of toxic compounds also occur because of that. Due to active transport, sugars as well as amino acids, organic solvents are taken up by unicellular organisms, and secondary transport is also helpful for the intake of vitamins and minerals by the higher organisms like the human beings. Active transport is helpful in intake of certain drugs and foreign chemicals. Drugs means the medicines. The medicines are taken up with the help of this active transport only. But since we are studying about plants, so you can only focus on one of the topic, and that is the nutrient uptake. You can just concise it to that position. Whereas all the rest points are also important when we talk about the physiology, human physiology portion. Turgidity and flaccidity are the two terms which we have been discussing since long time. Turgidity is a state in which the water molecules move from lower concentration from the outside of the cell to inside, and as a result the cell which is placed in a isotonic or hypotonic solution becomes swollen up, or it just gets blotted. This condition is known as turgid condition, and in turgid condition all the organelles, cell organelles are completely exposed, and the cell is in its full shape and size. Whereas in flaccid condition, it is the reverse. Whenever we put a completely swollen up or a turgid cell inside a hypertonic solution, the cell loses its water to the nearby solution because the concentration of the nearby solution is way higher as compared to inside. And the water content in the solution is way too less as compared to the water inside the plasmolysed cell. So the plasmolysed cell, or sorry, so the turgid cell basically loses its water from inside to outside, and as a result the shrinkage can be seen in the sh- shape and size of any cell when it is placed in a hypertonic solution. The turgidity is developed because of turgid pressure or turgor pressure. Turgor pressure is developed when water is taken up by any cell, and as a result all the cell organelles inside the cell along with the protoplasm, it is completely blotted and extended. So when the inside protoplasm it becomes extended, it provides or it exerts some pressure to the cell wall, and cell wall will also provide some pressure to the inside contents of the cell so that it doesn't burst off. So there are two pressures which come into play. One is the turgor pressure, which is developed because the inside cellular content or cell organelles content is completely swollen up because of high amount of water within it, and it is known as turgor pressure. Whereas the wall pressure is the pressure applied by the outside cell membrane as well as the cell wall of the cell to the inside contents which has become completely blotted and swollen up, so that the cell remains or cellular content remains inside. Otherwise, when the turgor pressure exceeds wall pressure, the cell will burst off. Plasmolysis is a condition in which we place a plant cell or any cell into a hypertonic solution. Hypertonic solution means where the concentration of solute is way much higher. So, in a beaker or in any place, what we do is we place a cell. Think about the cell being placed in a beaker which has very high concentration of solute, and as because the concentration of solute is way much higher, so we can imagine that the inside content of water will be lost, and when water will be lost from inside to outside, the cell will shrink itself and it will become plasmolized. You can see how the cell is getting plasmolized. The reverse to this is deplasmolysis, when the same plasmolysed cell, when we take this cell and we place this cell into a beaker. Think about a beaker which has, say, very less amount of This is the plant cell. So the already shrunken plant cell will get lot of water molecules, and because of that it will again swell up, and swelling up will be as such that all the cellular content will be big, will be exposed, or it will become completely extended and blotted, and the cell will regain its previous condition. The importance of plasmolysis is it helps in making pickles or jams and jellies. So think about a cell kept in a very high concentrated solution of salt or sugar. In both the conditions, the cellular content or the water inside the cell will be lost to the hypertonic solution, and as a result, the inside content it will lose water. And when the cell is itself losing water, the inside protoplasm will be filled with sugar or salt in whatever solution it is kept. And the when the cell is kept in sun or sunlight, or it is just kept as such, it becomes crystallized. Or think of the same sugar or salt inside a cell, and it will get crystallized after a certain period of time, and because of this there will be no water inside the jam. There is no water in the jam and jellies or in the pickles, and that's why we can store it for a longer duration of time without any bacterial attack, as because there is complete loss of water, and even if there is some water, it is replaced by, in the cell, in the plant cell, that water is replaced by crystalline form of sugar or salt. Salting kills the weeds. Weeds are unwanted plants which are growing in the garden, and we can just sprinkle salt over it. Think about the salt. The function will be same. It will plasmolyze the cell of the weed, and as a result, plant will die. So the weeds will be dead. It will also harm the normal plants, but we want to kill the weeds, and for that, this is the best way. Sprinkling of salt over the weeds is a technique by which we can remove the weeds from the garden. Next is this entire technique of osmotic pressure or plasmolysis can be used in order to study the osmotic pressure in the laboratory condition. So these all terms which we have studied by now, it all gives us an idea that plasmolysis is the process in which the cells loses its water when it is kept in a hypertonic solution. It means the concentration of solute in the hypertonic solution is way much higher, or the concentration of water in the solute as compared to normal condition, it is way much higher, and that's why water molecules are less in a hypertonic solution compared to the solute. And reverse process to this plasmolysis is deplasmolysis or cytolysis, which can occur in a hypotonic solution. If we place the same cell into a hypotonic solution, the water molecules will move inside the cell, and the cell will become again swollen or blotted, as because of lower osmotic pressure which is outside the cell. And that's why the movement of water molecules will be from dilute solution to a concentrated solution. So this entire idea of all these terms gives us an idea that how water is important, and how water is helpful in easy survival of the plants. Not only plants, even for animals also it is equally important, but since we are studying about plants, so for the plants the importance of water can be very well understood if we understand these all terms.